Questionators. Hi. Happy Sunday. Happy May 3rd. It's my birthday, and I wanted to thank you again for showing up on my wall the way you have with all your good wishes and all your happiness. Let me know if you can hear me, by the way, if you can see me. And yeah, I'm in the process. I just took my braids out, so I still got something going on out here, but I'm trying to let it air dry. So if I end up talking through a face full of hair, don't take it personally. I didn't intend it. It's just what happens when I'm out here. Thanks for coming. Thanks for stopping through. Hi. Come on in. Thank you again for all of the well wishes on my birthday. It's pretty awesome. I definitely didn't expect it to look like this, but you know what? It's still pretty cool to be able to have one, seriously. This is number 58 for me, so I am looking at it differently even than last year, but honestly, a lot has changed since last year too, and it has for all of us, and we have to all navigate this whole new normal together. We're all in the same ocean, but we're not necessarily in the same boat. So it's not gonna look the same for all of us. And the truth is, it didn't look the same for all of us before. How you doing, cuz? Glad to see you. It didn't look the same for all of us before this quarantine. So yeah, the quarantine has impacted people in some very different ways. That's what I've been seeing, especially for people who have relationships, and for many who don't and who would like to. They're reconsidering a lot about what relationships are going to look like going forward. Even people who were married before this whole thing happened. This idea, well, it's not even an idea, just having to quarantine with somebody is something that a lot of us just aren't used to doing. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Thank you, Karen. Um, but yeah, we're all trying to figure this out one day at a time, every step of the way. Thank you, Lonnie. Thank you, Marlena. Oh no, I don't know what happened, cause on my end I don't look froze. So try to refresh your screen, and maybe that'll help. But yeah, I was just out here taking my braids out and and thinking while I'm making this vitamin D the old-fashioned way, my favorite way, in my sundress, which is, yeah, how cool is that to be able to wear one? People who know me best know that sundresses are my favorite thing to wear. I would wear them all year if I could. It is just my favorite thing to slide into. Sundress and sandals, have mercy. And today is a sundress kind of day. You see all this beautiful sunshine out here? Is amazing. But anyway, I digress. Forgive me. So I'm seeing two things in relationships for the most part, right? And they're pretty much polar opposite. On one hand, I hear from a lot of people who were in good relationships before this happened. And when this happened, they used it as a chance to make their relationships better. They got to know each other better. They stayed curious about each other. They started asking each other some questions that make other people uncomfortable. Questions like, are you getting what you need from this relationship? Is there something I can do to make this experience better for you? What would your dream future look like if you could have it however you wanted to have it? What would it look like? what can I do to help make it happen? Questions that start people thinking, that start real conversations, that start uncovering intimacy, creating intimacy, building intimacy, developing a way to know each other, even after maybe having been together for several years, and feeling like many people do, like you already know each other. The truth is, you never really know anybody, including yourself. You walk around in the same skin for your whole life, and you never really know yourself. Why? Because you're always changing. Because people are dynamic. And just like you change all the time, people that you love change all the time. So even though you may have been with them for a long time, even though you have an idea of who they've always been, you may not have an idea of who they currently are. You may not really know who they intend to be going forward. You want to know if that person is marked very different from the one that you do know. You need to know that if you're going to be sharing a life together. And not knowing that is how many people who say they've grown apart actually grow apart. Because they stop being curious about each other. Once you figure you got your partner all figured out, that's when you stop being curious. That's when you stop looking. That's when you stop studying them. That's when you stop asking important questions. That's when you start making even more assumptions. And that is how you set your relationship up to come apart a lot sooner than it ever had to. And it happened from the inside, not because somebody cheated or somebody lied or somebody violated the relationship. Just because you stopped paying attention to what you needed to pay attention to. It is so important if you're going to share a life with somebody. I'm not talking about just being attracted to somebody. I'm not talking about being turned on by somebody. I'm not talking about having fun with somebody. I'm talking about sharing a life with somebody. If you're going to do that, then you're going to have to put in more effort than you put into what it takes to just have fun together. And that's why people find out the hard way so often that great dates don't always make great mates. You can spend a whole lot of time dating somebody, and then when you marry them, they turn into somebody else. Anybody have any idea what I'm talking about? And no, I'm not just talking about the whole you date people's representative thing. Although that's an issue, don't get me wrong. I'm not denying that. But if you date long enough, the representative goes away. And you end up with the person that they actually are from day to day. Sometimes it might take about a year. Just depends, you know? Depends on how long it takes for the chemical reactions to wear off, which is a whole different discussion. For the oxytocin to subside and stop scrambling your reason and your ability to be logical and short-circuiting your sense of being rational. It takes a little while for that to stop. So, especially if it's somebody new in your life, it takes a little while for that to stop. Oh, I love this breeze. Sorry, I keep working around it, but I love this breeze. And since I'm trying to get drier, ooh, it's working. Anyway, I'm not just talking about the representative thing. I'm talking about something that people discover as they go along in this life. Particularly people who have been married before. And what they typically discover is that the expectations and ideas about what it is to be, what it is to date, as opposed to what it is to actually share a life with somebody, aren't always the same. In fact, they can be very different. They can be very different. And so people make dating choices emotionally for the most part. They do what feels good to them. And they try to make it feel good for as long as they can possibly make it feel good. And that's the goal of dating, because a lot of people date primarily for entertainment, and they also date for maybe companionship, sex, status, a lot of things like that, right? And while there's nothing really wrong with that, most people aren't honest about it. And so they pretend to be something that they actually aren't. Or for the people who are honest about it, they could be with somebody who will hear their honesty and then rewrite it. They'll rewrite it to fit whatever it is they want to hear. So they could be telling them the whole time, this is what I want, this is what I don't want. But the person that they're talking to is thinking they just need a little more time. Once they get a taste of my love, they'll change their mind. They're just afraid of love. They just don't know what they really want. They've never been in love before. All kinds of stuff that we used to justify and rewrite what people show us, not what they tell us. What they show us. It's how people set traps for themselves. How they end up being their own worst enemy in their own relationships. Thank you, James. I appreciate that. And so we make our own complications, and then we complain that it's complicated. And it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. Once you get past someone's representative, you can continue having a great dating relationship. But here's what happens. Once you get married, once you move in with each other, once you raise the level of commitment in either way, right? In any way. Some people have babies, unfortunately. But whatever it is, once you raise the level of commitment, people's ideas about what this new level of commitment looks like are different. That's the main reason why people who change what they want, what they require, what they do after they get married, that's why it's so shocking, because a lot of times that person didn't even know that they had such different ideas about what it meant to have a spouse. They just thought it would be an extension of what they were already doing. They thought that being married would just be like having a long date that you didn't have to go home from. And that's how they get tripped up, because we're all subject to the programming that we grew up with. So whatever we've been programmed to think for the last 20, 30 years or more are the ideas that we come into the relationship with, unless we've actually made a conscious effort to change that to something that's actually more reasonable and workable. Most people have not done that. And so they come in full throttle with what they've been programmed with. Again, not a bad thing, but it is a thing that has to be acknowledged for what it is, so that you can negotiate a relationship that actually makes both of you happy. And contrary to popular belief, you're not going to get the relationship you deserve. You're not going to get the relationship you want, you wish for, the relationship that makes sense, the relationship you always dreamed of. You're not going to get that relationship. The relationship you get is the one you negotiate. That's it, that's all. You get the relationship you negotiate, the one you create, the one you accommodate, or the one you negotiate. That's all. So to spend all this time and effort and energy getting worked up, thank you, Denise. I'm so glad to see you. Oh, to get all worked up about it's not fair and I put in all this work and oh my God, I deserve more and I need to know my worth. I'm really kind of overhearing that because people don't make relationship decisions based on their worth. They make relationship choices based on what they believe relationships are supposed to look like. And they learn that belief in childhood. So, whatever that program is, they got planted in there between like 0 and 7, maybe 9 years old. That's the program that's running in the background all the time. And what they do with that program is something that they determine once they become an adult. Either they make a conscious choice to deviate from the program and do something different, to create a new story, to draw a new blueprint of what relationships are supposed to look like. Or they do what most people do and they make the unconscious choice to keep doing what they're doing just because they've been doing it. It's like they do what they know, but they don't know what they're doing. And what I mean by that is they're doing what they've been programmed to do, but because they haven't stopped to think about the impact of what they're actually doing, they stay focused on their intention as if their intention actually makes a difference for the impact. And it doesn't. If I back out of my garage, good example. If I back out of my garage and I don't see somebody who's walking across the driveway and I hit them and break their leg, I didn't mean to hit them. My intention was not to hit them. It was certainly not to break their leg. My intention was not to do that. Right? That's example number one. Their leg is still broken, however. Their leg is still broken, and whatever their treatment is, whatever it takes to heal them, is going to take just as much to heal them as it would take if I had meant to hit them. My intention has nothing to do with the impact. And we need to understand that when we go into relationships with people. Your intention and your impact could be two entirely different things. But because you're so focused on what you meant, you are blind to and deaf to how it actually affected your partner. And so you argue about it because you're arguing from your intention and they're arguing from your impact. And until you make those two things match, you will not be able to have successful relationships. And you will be the creator of your own chaos and your own pain and your own drama and your own trauma. And you'll be looking for outside sources from it forever, and it's nothing that's coming from outside. It's coming from inside. Thank you, Q. It's coming from inside. Communication isn't just about making noise. Just because you're talking doesn't mean you're communicating. In fact, research has already shown that communication is over 80% nonverbal. So while you fixated on doing all this talking and saying all the right stuff, which is important, is not having nearly the impact of all your nonverbals. Your tone of voice, how fast you say it, how loudly are you saying it, how often do you say it, what is the position your body is in while you're saying it. All of those things are communicating signals and messages that are being received, that are making an impact beyond whatever your intention is. Your job as the communicator is to make sure that your impact and your intention match. And that's not just in your love relationship, that's in any relationship. If you want to ease the friction, that's the way to ease the friction. Make them match. But understand that they are two different things. Oh, Denise, tell Rob I said thank you. Give him a hug for me. Make them match. If the relationship is worth it to you, make those two things match. Understand that your impact may be entirely different from what you intended. So for you to keep arguing the position, I didn't mean it, that's not, I don't want you to feel that way. Thank you, Calvin. I don't want you to feel like that. I didn't mean. That's all well and good, but that doesn't mean that it didn't happen anyway. That's like me saying, I didn't mean to hurt that person that I backed over with my car. And I could say that until they come out of the hospital. But it's not gonna stop them from going. It's not gonna change the fact that their leg is still broken. No matter how sorry I am, no matter what my intention was or wasn't, it's not gonna mend their broken leg. By the same token, if I had meant to hit them, it's not gonna make their recovery any different. Whatever it takes to fix that situation, to heal that break, to mend that bone, is going to be the same whether I meant to break it or I didn't mean to break it. Because my impact is different from my intention. And until we learn to separate the two, we are going to continue to create problems for ourselves in our relationships. Thank you, Twas. We're going to continue to do that. It's an issue that I see repeatedly. That's why I'm spending so much time talking about it. Because people actually do believe that because they meant something to be one way, that that's actually the way it is. And I'm here to remind you that it isn't. And that is not necessarily a bad thing, but it is something that you have to pay attention to if you're going to make your relationship an emotionally safe place for both of you. That's the effort that people keep talking about. That's the work that people seem so hesitant to do. And it's really not difficult. It's just a conversation. As long as you're being honest with each other, it really is just a conversation. If you have a check-in, a relationship check-in, maybe once a week, definitely once a month. I recommend once a week. When I'm working with people, I definitely recommend once a week. That you pick a day where you take 20 minutes and you sit down in neutral territory. Do not do this in bed. And do not do this as a prelude to bed. Do this in neutral territory. And it may not even take 20 minutes. But if you just sit down and look each other in the eyes and check in with this one question. How has this week in our relationship been for you? And then shut up and listen. I know it's radical. I know it's radical. It could rewrite this whole lockdown situation. Thank you, Dee Dee. It could rewrite the whole lockdown situation. But that question is a game changer. That routine, that ritual, that ceremony can rescue dying relationships. But it has to be consistently applied and honestly used. It's really all it takes. Sometimes the conversation will be longer, sometimes the conversation will be shorter. Most times, depending on how long you've been together, it will get shorter over time, unless something unusual comes into your situation to rewrite your relationship dynamic. It will get shorter over time as you get more accustomed to each other, as you learn more about each other, and as you tune in to the changes that each of you are going through. You can keep it down 20 minutes or less. And that's different from your date night, by the way, because a date night should be all about fun. It really should. It should be the time where you get to be the boyfriend and the girlfriend that got you together in the first place. That's what date nights are for. This is a different one. This is different. I'll definitely recommend the date nights. Yes, never stop having those. Never, ever, never, ever, ever stop having those. But that's a different thing from what I'm talking about right now. So, hi, Kathy. Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl. All these birthday wishes coming in. I appreciate them. I appreciate you. If there's something else you would like me to talk about, please let me know. It's been suggested that I offer my Cash App because people in my DMs, thankfully, have been wanting to treat me for my birthday today. So my Cash App is Get Back to Passion. All one word. GETBACKTOPASSION. See, Denise, thank you, because I know you and Rob have been doing this thing forever. Thank you for that. Denise is my friend, y'all. We went to college together. We go way back. I knew her when she was dating her husband, and she's been married to for 33 years. So I get it. I know exactly what she's talking about. So thank you for that. Uh, yeah, so I guess I've taken up enough of your time, unless there's something that you guys want to talk about. I may come back today. Just depends. Depends on what goes on with this hair. Ooh-wee, I need my hair husband. But my highlights are still hanging on. Imagine that. My highlights are still hanging on. But I made enough vitamin D for now, and I'm a little hungry. So I'm going to go refuel, and maybe I'll come back again later on. But thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing your time and your space with me. Thank you for the birthday love. Again, my Cash App is Get Back to Passion. My PayPal.me is paypal.me/satisfillment. SATISFILLMENT. Or if any of that is confusing, go to my website and use the donate button. www.edenadele.com. And the donate button is in the upper right corner. Thank you for the birthday love. If you have comments or if you have questions, be sure to leave them below because I will be back to check and I'll respond to you there. And who knows, I might come back with a different video depending on what you have to say. If I feel like the response is just too much to swipe, then I'll just come back and do another video. But thank you everybody who checked in and stayed in and who showed up on my wall like you always do every year. I thank you. I thank you for thinking of me, and I thank you for stopping to be an encouragement. I appreciate it. So, you guys have a fabulous Sunday. Get outside. Make some of your own vitamin D. Guaranteed it will help you feel better. Thank you, Vanessa. It will help you feel so much better. Thank you, Minnie. I appreciate that. And if you can, get your walk on too, because that helps a lot. Keeps you respirating properly. And remember to hydrate and get restful sleep. Restful sleep, not fitful sleep. That's a different conversation for another time. Thank you, Holly. So, I'll be back and I'll be sure to let you know so you can come back too. Okay? Thanks for coming. Bye, Passionators.